who is your clientele? Can you describe your clientele and how they find you? How do they find you?
Everyone is my clientele. Everyone. I have I have found that because I represent in the way that I do, aesthetically, physically, spiritually, anyone that has 1 pound or more of that identity, comparability, I would say they're my clients. I have everyone from beautiful sisters that reflect me and I reflect them. We get happy when we see one another because we know who we are. I have brothers who are not afraid of my work because it doesn't come off as something that they can't readily identify with. And so I would believe that I may have about just about as many male clients as I do female clients. I have taken care of just about any racial distinction of individuals that you can consider at this point, which I thought was really good, especially during my clinicals because I am a licensed skin therapist too. And one of the best things between massage therapy and aesthetics is that I got the opportunity to work with so many different kinds of skin, whether it was a sister who was suffering from a skin condition, whether it was an Asian sister who had something taking place with her skin that was a first time for me because as much as I would like to think that our skin is a lot alike, our skin is very different across cultures. I've taken care of young European skin, meaning maybe about 15, 16 years of age, and I've taken care of elder European skin at about age 85, and so I've really been able to see the variances of skin from around the globe.
How would you describe the skin and I guess the textures, the body and textures, I don't have the language, of African Americans or people of African descent? How is it distinctive or different from the others?
I would
Hold
say,
on a minute.
sure.
Just let the plane. It seems like it just won't go. Okay. Took it so long.
I would say that African American skin could be faced with any degree of skin type. It could be dry, it could be combination, it could be very oily, it could be, especially for brothers, it could be a little bit rough, especially when you start considering skin conditions like pseudofolliculitis barbae, which is traditionally known or commonly known as razor bumps, because there's facial hair that's growing in a 9-ether pattern, and so it ends up creating tears within the skin. And so we're definitely faced with a distinction here as Africans born in America. But because of the blood blending, we end up having many skin types.
You call yourself Honeysuckle Moon. Where does the name come from?
The cosmos. That name, that name literally came out of the sky on a special, special day. And it was as if the moon decided to reflect a bit of truth to me back in 1997. And honeysuckle is a flower that is known, especially around the South, as being a wild and free form flower on a vine that produces the sweetest nectars that anyone would ever want to taste or smell or just be within proximity of. And when I was a little girl, that was more than likely the most distinctive flower aside from roses that I remember. And so it came to me, and moon, I would say moon is definitely a designation of womanhood that I have earned, because I recognize that there is a lot of responsibility with that designation. There is a special interest that I do have as it relates to the preservation of women.
What can you tell us a little bit more about this idea of womanhood, like, and what it means to you, like this evolution into womanhood, particularly considering you're a mother with a young girl?
Yes.
Like, and you talk a little bit more about that.
Well, because my daughter is at an age to where so many factors are now starting to come at her, I don't think that my eyes have ever been as open as they are before, because now it's not just about the preservation of my womanhood as much as it is about the preservation for two women in the home now. And so I realize that there are many tactics, from the way that we're supposed to see ourselves to the ways that we're supposed to speak, the ways that we're supposed to dress in accordance to what the Eurocentric mediums have been over the past 10, 20, 30 years of my life. I can always revert back to a moment to where it seemed like black was not the strongest measure of beauty. And so when you couple that with the musical attitude, with the aesthetics attitude, meaning what colors we will wear, what colors we will even allow our lips and hair to be, all of that, in my opinion, have gotten to a point that could be very dangerous to the African woman identity. And so it's important for me to not be as dogmatic, or I would say very, very stern. Is it okay? All right. I wasn't certain if it was picking up.
Oh, no, it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But it's not that I would want to be as stern as I could be, as much as it is I want to be certain that I'm a very well-rounded woman and parent, and that I reflect a way of beauty that does exact pride in my daughter, because I recognize that there are so many entities out there that are speaking and exhibiting ways that work against African beauty standards.
How would you describe beauty? Or what is beautiful or beauty to you?
Beauty is the good that you see in yourself and all things from the moment that you open your eyes. That would be my strongest definition of beauty.
And now I want us to shift to your product line and have you just kind of walk us through and discuss the different products and, tell us as much as you can about them.
All right. Now, as I stated earlier in the interview, my product line, Honeysuckle Moon Natural Skincare, was established in 2006. And initially, when I started working with the products, it was about the redirection, the rejuvenation of my personal skin, because I woke up one day and I realized that my skin could be in a stronger state. And two recipes actually the Moon Belly butter in cocoa mango almond was the very first Moon Belly butter. And so I chose cocoa mango almond because back when I was in college, they had this one aromatic that I really, really love. And I said, I want to make something that's as close to that as possible because it was very sweet, it was very earthy, and I felt like it would work really well with shea butter. And so right at about that same time that I began my testing of the products in 2005, there was a major introduction to two elements in particular. Shea butter and black soap saved my life. I don't know where it is that I would be without them, and I'm happy that I was able to see the different benefits within them. And so with that said,
Wait, tell us a little bit more about the shea butter and the black soap. What are some of the benefits? Why were they so important? Why did they save your life?
well, first and foremost, they're African products. Shea butter and black soap, which is also known indigenously as Alata, A-L-A-T-A. They were both, for thousands of years, staples of African body care. And so when I initially started working with shea butter and black soap, I was working with this African merchant, and he introduced me to them. And I realized that I was able to get so many pounds of it for a really good price. And he said, Brother Bandelli, rest his soul, he actually transitioned this year. But he told me, say, take these and see what you can do with it. And there were no instructions, there were no ehals.coms back then. You know, you just had to work with the elements essentially and allow them to guide you in the direction that they should go in. And so shea butter is traditionally regarded as an emollient element, meaning that it has these properties that are considered as an oil, and there are phytonutrients in it that really go in to take great care of the skin, whether you're 8 days old or 80 years of age. And so it's taken a lot of people's skin to the best level with a plant base. And so as much as it is, there are a lot of great plant-based butters out there. For me, my number one pick is always shea butter. I really, really like shea butter. And so moving forward, there is black soap. And with black soap, this is actually one of the best plant-based soaps that I personally have come across. For years before I utilized black soap, I utilized Castile soap. And I found so many people, once they meet my product line, they always say, yeah, I really like, there's a very popular Castile soap company out there. You can get it at Whole Foods, you can get it at 7 Under. And he had a lot of great content on the bottle, like, I love this line, okay? It's by a doctor. I'm not going to say that doctor's name, but everybody loves it, all right? Black soap was the first thing to make me stop using that soap. It sent me in a totally different direction, because not only did you get a really good clean and you got the essential oil benefits that the Castile soap was providing you, but there is a natural exfoliation property that is really unique to black soap. And so I do like that, and because I know that it comes from plantain and cocoa pod, and it reflects melanin. It's my favorite soap. And I love it. I really love black soap.
And I used to use the peppermint by the
I
cart
know.
case.
I know. And then you found black soap, right? And you
a
said
lot of other soaps.
a lot of great soaps.
Really,
out
it's
there.
people handcrafting soap because people come up with a lot.
Yeah, because I know they're so creative these days. I'm seeing these goat milk soaps out there. I'm seeing a lot of great cleansers, a lot of great butters, a lot of great scrubs. I mean, once you start really exploring us, you would be amazed to see all of the elements that we're able to master.
Tell us a little bit more about your lemongrass tea product that you have in front here.
All right.
And then just kind of work your way through and just tell us, select the ones where that you're guided to and just tell us about them.
Well, with you asking about the lemongrass tea scalp tonic, that actually encourages me to start talking about hair care, because I found myself working within the basics, shea butter, black soap initially, and as the need increased, not only for myself but for others as well, I said, you got to go in a little bit more. It's time to start getting a little bit more complex. And so I started considering different tonics, and this product in particular is one of the products that I'm definitely proud of as an herbal tonic. And with this, you have several great ingredients in here, from aloe vera and olive, which is your base. There's burdock root. There is cat's claw and sage in here. You have peppermint and lemongrass. And essentially, what these phytonutrients are going to do is stimulate the scalp, which means that it's going to go in to promote growth. And when you're talking about promoting growth, it does really well for individuals who not only would just like to see a fuller, healthier head of hair that's been induced by botanicals, but some people may actually need it. Like, I have met persons who may have gone through chemotherapy, and so they're interested in stimulating their hair follicle. They utilize my product to help get them to a restored state with growth. And so that particular product was the spin-off loose conditioner from the tea soap for hair, which is Dred tea soap. So all of those very same ingredients have been activated in that plantain and cocoa pod of black soap ash base.
Tell us about this Dred tea soap, or what you just mentioned. One, where'd you get the name from?
I'm a Dred head.
And two, yeah, just tell us more about that product.
With it, as much as it is, I realized that we could wash our hair with a lot of botanicals and, get a lot of awesome results out there. I grew up loving lather, and it's like, with all this thick hair, I got to see some bubbles, And so it was natural for me to take my black soap base recipe and be able to activate it with very hair and scalp friendly herbs. And so with it, I actually just utilized it this morning, and so I've been utilizing that particular product now, goodness, I guess for about 5-6 years. Every week I utilize it, and I believe that the stimulating properties between the Dred tea soap and then going back and reinforcing it with the herbs and the lemongrass tea scalp tonic has been a large part of my own hair success. And so it's a really awesome shampoo out there. It's actually the inspiration for a new shampoo that's getting ready to be launched here pretty soon. And so I want to make certain that I'm just working with elements that are very functional for different parts of the body, because as much as we could presume that all soaps or all moisturizers are created equal, I recognize in skincare that what we need to do for the face may be different than what we need to do for the hair versus different what we need to do for the body.
In terms of this name, Dreadhead, have you ever encountered people who don't like the term dread?
I meet them sometimes. I don't spend a lot of time with them, but I do meet them sometimes. And what I have to say for the individual who challenges dread versus the term lock, because that's what seems to be, I guess, the other term that is a little bit more comfortable. I can see both the positive and the negative attributes of both of those terms. And Bob Marley is who taught me about dreadlocks, and he utilized both terms very positively, and so I don't see the negative in it at all. And so I love saying, yes, I am a dreadhead. I also like acknowledging the fact that I do have dreadlocks, and I do acknowledge the fact that my hair is locked, and so I just don't embrace the negative in something so positive.
How would you distinguish between the terms, or as best you can, like a differentiation as far as you know between like dread, dreadlock, or lock, or what's the difference or the distinction between the terms as far as you know?
One seems free and one seems bound, truly. And when I say that, when you look at the culture and the history of being dread, all the way back to the Battle of Ottawa in Ethiopia to the Maroons of Jamaica, when they decided to free up and they were in the mountains, a hair comb was the last thing on their minds. They were considering their own independence as well as the independence of their region or of their country. And so with that said, the term dread, I guess, got its negative connotation from others feeling like it was a dreadful appearance, when in all actuality, I think that it was an appearance that made people think twice, which meant, yeah, those individuals might be a little bit freer than most. Whereas if you consider the term lock instead, the first thing I hear in my mind is protection, security, retreat. All of those seem like very fear-based terms to me. And so if I had to choose one over the other, I'd rather be dread than to be locked, because I'm interested in being free. I'm interested in repelling anything that's not for me and embracing those things that come without form, essentially. I found in my later years that I'm quite the nonconformist. And so dread, if I had to choose a term, would be the one.
Have you had any experience overseas? And if so, can you tell us, I guess, your first experiences or your most meaningful experiences overseas?
I've traveled to the Bahamas and I've traveled to Jamaica. I have not been to Europe as of yet, and I figured that when I would go to Europe, it would be a pit stop before I go to Africa. But my experience in Jamaica was actually a beautiful experience, because the region that I decided to go to actually was the very same region of Queen Nanny and the Maroons, and so I felt very connected to that region. And while everyone did not look just like me, and I believe that that is a common misconception for culturalists who do go into more indigenous regions, i.e. Jamaica, because that is like the most popular country when it comes to dreadlocks. They presume that it's going to be one big island and that's all you see. Whereas in all actuality, I felt like I had time warped. It was the most amazing thing. It seemed like even though it was 2007, it seemed as though I was in the mid-80s. The hairstyle, the way that people lived humbly, it did not seem like I was in the year 2007. It was very unique. As for the terrain, I'll be back there in a month, okay? No other place has shown me beauty and the wellness that comes in nature like Jamaica did.
Who do you admire? If you had to kind of, you mentioned a few people throughout the interview, but if you had to name just a few key people, who do you admire or uphold as people that if you could, or if you even had the desire to, that you would emulate or like to follow in their footsteps?
I'd say my daughter first and foremost, because it seems like children come to be that thing that you're not ready to be yet, like their next level. And so if I could be anyone for a year, I think I'd like to be her. I'd really like to see the world through her eyes, because while I may be fearless, she's far more fearless than I am. And so she would be the one person that I would say, yeah, I could be her for a while.
So how would you describe your daughter's style overall?
Oh, wow. I've never seen anything like that in my life. You know, she is, she's so eclectic. She is so unique. She is also a nonconformist, which means that she's not going to conform to my ideals as well. And I value that, because that means that she's not afraid to hold her own ground. And so while she is presently, and has been for the past 6 years, she is a dreadlock girl, I do see in her future she will be able to be any kind of woman that she chooses.
If you had to communicate anything, like, at all, if there were a way that you want, if there was anything or any way to sum up who you are and your products and your lifestyle, how would you do it? What would you want to convey to people who want to know about Honeysuckle Moon and her products?
I am a loyal and committed, live hard naturalist on all levels. I am the very same woman that will go and pick flowers with you, and I'm that woman who will put herself in situations, like, for instance, I don't swim, but I will get into the ocean. I will find myself in bodies of water safely, but I will, for the sake of learning a little bit more about nature. Yeah, I'm a live hard naturalist. I will go against the grain.
No.
Well, thank you. That's it.
That's everything. We didn't even get a chance to talk about everything. Okay, well, that's fine.